Okay, good evening, morning, afternoon. All of my wonderful Verbling friends, feel free to join the class and let's get started. Remember to download the PowerPoint attached to this class's profile. You're going to need it.
Hey, Matthew.
Okay, let's see.
Oh my God,
All right,
Brenda's
we've got
here.
a few already.
Hi, Ninja.
Hi, Brenda.
Alright, looks like we have 4 so far. I think Hina's class is ending right now too, so we should be getting a new we should be getting all the crossover students in just a minute.
For ninjas, it's just us.
Mm.
They say it's too advanced.
Alright. There we go. Now it's a good time. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started because we only have a couple of slots left. As a reminder, I must stress this is an advanced class, as in very, 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 very advanced. As in, I took a college class, and yeah, just took the material, and that's what we're going to do. So the language is very advanced, the topic is very deep, and I think we will have a very, very this is going to be probably a very interesting debate course. So as a reminder, this is very high level. I don't make any apologies about that. This is for those students who want to go ahead and take a more rigorous debate class. So we're here to learn, we're here to share experiences and share points of view. So today's topic for this first class is economic statecraft. Economic statecraft. What does that fancy term mean? But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and introduce everybody from right to left. Yassine, you do not get to leave.
Hi Matthew, hi guys, I'm Yasin. I'm from Syria, I hate economic.
Oh, that's too bad because we're actually going to talk about Syria in this class today. Yep, you're pretty much stuck, I'm afraid. But then, just a little bit. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you make any political choice. This is a class about kind of government decisions, not politics. Don't worry. All right, so guys, then from left we have Tim from South Africa. Hey, Tim.
Hi, Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm doing sort of good, yeah. I think it's going to be yeah? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I'm doing good, yeah. Just
Alrighty.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I've been teaching a lot of singing classes lately, so that means I haven't seen you because I know that you sneak away and avoid my music classes like they're an illness. So
no, actually, singing class is not my cup of tea, exactly.
So I've tried to I tried to court you back with a debate class, and here you are. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay, we have a new student, Paulo Enrique Martin. Are you there, sir?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Paulo. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Doing excellent. Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Brazil.
Wonderful. And wait, what city in Brazil?
Sorry?
What city in Brazil?
São Paulo City.
Oh, it's Sao Paulo and Rio are two of the cities in the world that I want to go to because I can be almost naked and I don't get arrested. Fantastic. I look forward to having you here, sir. Okay. Brenda, contain yourself. All right, let's see. Then we have Motaz from Syria. How are you, Motaz?
Great. Thanks for
Oh,
asking.
I'm very happy to see you here. The news from your country really scares me lately, so I'm happy that you're all right. Okay, let's see. Who are we again? And then,
And
oh, don't say Motaz. Motaz, don't say that. Oh my God, no. Okay, so then after Motaz, we have Mr. Wang. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Hi, I
Hi,
know
how are
you
you doing?
today you're gonna talk a lot about China. So I come and attend your class.
Por supuesto, of course. Oh, I look forward to you representing your country very well in this debate course.
Actually, I think there's no, black and white thing in this world. So I think our topic today is gonna about the government's function stuff. So
That's right. We're not necessarily talking about any one country. We're talking about tools or choices that any country could make. But we'll definitely talk about China, I'm sure. Just as definitely we'll talk about America. No problem there. All
yeah,
right. And then to the left of Eric, we have Edward Jose Benavides. Mr. Benavides, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Hi, where are you from, sir?
I'm from Colombia,
Colombia. What city?
Cartagena.
Where is that?
It's in the West Coast.
Ooh, fantastic. And I'm excited to have you here, sir. Welcome on board. And then we have Diego Carrasquilla. Are you there?
Yes, my name is Diego. I am from Medellin, Colombia.
Medellin, Colombia. Two Colombians in class today. Fantastic. All right. I like, actually, it's very interesting. We will actually talk about Colombia probably. Believe it or not. I'll save the reason later. And then let's go ahead. As a reminder, guys, go ahead and mute your microphone if you've got a lot of noise. No big deal. Yeah, Yassine, what is economic injection?
I don't know.
Are you getting? Oh, Yassine, don't worry. All right. So then, Brenda.
Hello, Matthew.
Brenda. Hi. In case
You
you
see,
guys didn't
everybody's laughing at me now.
No. In case you guys didn't know, I had to talk Brenda into attending this course because she was like, actually, no, she got excited at first because I told her, I prepared a debate class. And Brenda, could you tell them what you said when you looked at the PowerPoint that I told you to study?
I have to study a lot. You're a bad teacher because you want to make me study something that I don't like. And when I saw all of it, I saw that it start talking about Texas, and I get excited about it because this is good, this is great. And I send you a message, and you say, oh, we're not talking about that.
No, we'll talk about the PowerPoint that we're using for this class. We'll also use for the other class this evening, and it's also a little bit for a third class that I'm going to teach later. We will have a class on my home state. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matthew. I'm an American verbling teacher from the state of Texas. And Brenda got excited because she thought I was going to teach about like my state today. But actually, we're going to talk about the world today. Maybe we'll talk about my state later because it is very beautiful and the best, at least in America.
Mentiroso.
She's starting early today. She's starting early today.
You don't even say the name of my country, so you deserve it.
You're from San Felipe, Argentina.
You break my
Matthew?
heart when you say that.
Yes, Yassine?
Maybe economic injection means pumping money in markets.
Ooh, that could be true. Like just throwing money into a marketplace. That sounds exciting. Okay, guys. So this is the first part of a two-part a first part of a two-part lecture today. We're going to talk about economic choices that countries can make. And then in our next class, we're going to talk about military force that they can take. But I see we just got one new person. I want to ask or say hello, Asako. Asako. Osako, ohayo gozaimasu. Watashi wa...
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Genki desu ka?
Genki desu.
Watashi wa Mato desu.
Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite. Sorry, I took a guess by your name that you're Japanese.
I am.
Oh, wow. And what prefecture are you from?
I'm from your Kanagawa prefecture.
Kanagawa prefecture on the island of Honshu, am I correct?
Yes, Yokohama is the city I'm living right now.
Mm-hmm. I used to live, believe it or not, in Niigata City in Niigata Prefecture.
Ooh, that's in the north.
Yeah, out in the countryside in the rice farm fields.
Wow, I've never been to Niigata.
Oh, they have really, really good rice. I worked there as believe it or not, as a rice farmer for one season.
I see.
So welcome. We're having a class on not necessarily hard economics, just we're talking about the choices that governments can make. There is a PowerPoint attached to the profile. Does everybody see that PowerPoint? Does everybody not see that PowerPoint?
Yes.
Everybody's downloaded? Okay, guys, so what we're going to do, I want you to follow with me. We're going to start on page or slide 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to screen share, so any of you who had trouble downloading, you can actually see me. As a reminder, I can't see you when this I'm covering this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and begin here. Oh, no, not back there. Not Texas public policy. That's way. We're actually going... As much as I'm happy that you love my home state, we're going to talk about that later, another time. So today we're going to talk about foreign policy. Now, guys, academically, many academics argue there are 4 ways that countries can get what they want. There's the first term, propaganda. This is you're influencing using symbols. And I don't necessarily mean that government, like usually when we hear this word, we think of what? Like the government using advertisements to brainwash people. But propaganda in an academic term can mean any kind of media. It can mean internet, newspapers, private media, pop culture. Believe it or not, PSY and K-pop would count as propaganda in this culture. We have somebody who's... That's right. Advertisements would be a form of propaganda. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then the second tool would be diplomacy. That means influence through negotiation. This is the most common foreign policy tool. Just representatives of different countries talking things out. And this can happen at a big scale, like 2 countries agree to not go to war, or it can happen at a small scale. Who here has ever gotten a visa to travel to another country? You can just say, I can't see you, raise your hand. Who here has ever gotten a travel visa to go travel to another country? Guys, can you hear me?
My brother.
Yes, we
My
can.
brother.
But...
Me.
Yeah, you're... All right, you've been to... So wait, yeah, your brother got a travel visa and went to Sweden. That's actually diplomacy. That's just talking, believe it or not. Then you have the one that everybody's familiar with, military statecraft. That means getting influence through applying weapons, violence, or force. Even though this is the most dramatic and most most easily known tool, it's also the least used because it's incredibly expensive. And then the one that we're going to talk about in this class, economic statecraft. Countries using market resources like money, trade, and finance to get what they want. So we're going to talk about economic statecraft first. So guys, we're going to slip past all that military force stuff and move to slide 12. Because what we're talking about today is money. Sweet, sweet Benjamins. Fliff, dinero. Scratch. What's he? Bucks. Greenbacks. I'm using all this different slang to talk about money. Okay. So a lot of countries in modern times, they don't necessarily use military violence all the time to get what they want. There's a number of reasons for that. But let's talk about this first. Economic statecraft is a fancy term that means using financial tools to get what your country wants. It's usually cheaper than declaring war, and it's often a tool used when military force is not a possible option. Okay? Can anybody, you can just volunteer, remember I can't see you because I have my PowerPoint up. Can anybody volunteer and tell me when would be a situation where a country could not go to war, where going to war would not be useful to get what it wants?
Maybe when they don't have support. I mean, when, for example, a country is against another, and the other country has a lot of another country who are supporting.
That's a good one.
You are like the weak, and he has so power.
All right. So
yeah.
Okay. So military. In this case, if your rival country has a bigger military than you, or it has a lot of friends, you can't necessarily be successful. And so maybe military force is not the correct tool for you to use. Okay, anybody else want to give me a good example? What about a real-world example? Can anybody tell me of a real-world example where military force was not successful in getting a country what it wanted?
Example is America and Iran.
America and Iraq?
Iran.
Iran, okay. Can you provide the detail for everybody?
I don't know how to say this.
Take your time.
Turkey and Syria.
Motaz, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know that America trying to punch Iran economically.
That's right, because America. Why can America not use military force against Iran right now? Why are we not bombing Iran? Why do you think?
Avoiding World War.
No, because maybe we cannot. Just go ahead.
Afraid of closing the Gulf, that they can't export oil.
So maybe we're afraid to lose oil. We're also afraid of maybe to cause a big crisis in the Middle East. So this is an area where military force would not be an effective tool. So maybe an economic option is better. Okay, and guys, we're gonna go ahead, Tim.
I'm saying, America not in the war with Iran, but in the background is war is continue like between US and Iran in a cyber war. Is a continue. We can see a cyber war in a background in a computer. Also, especially if you look at Iran in US, a lot of Iran scientists, especially the progress with uranium. If you look at the past 3 years, we can see a lot of suspicious deaths. Yeah.
Yeah, and also we'll talk very soon right here. A lot of banking options have been done against Iran, which we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, so let's talk about some negative economic statecraft. All right, these are ways that a country can punish or hurt another country. Oh, wow, Eric, check it out. Look, it's China. Yay! Sorry Eric. You were right. It's totally going to happen. Yay! No, I'm sorry. Okay. So let's talk about some negative statecraft where countries try to hurt each other. Well, you can use a tariff or an embargo. Those are fancy terms for you're not going to let a country import items into your country or export items into your country. You'll raise the tax. There's a term called dumping. I love this phrase. Dumping. This is when you intentionally build a lot of a product. You get a lot of one product. Say your country is really good at producing chicken, and China cannot produce chicken as much as the US. I don't know if that's true, but let's pretend. America could try to punish China for some other thing they think China did wrong by what? Exporting too much chicken, and so they're going to flood that country's market with cheap goods to hurt their businesses. It kind of works. Dumping is pretty cool because it kind of works like this. I'm going to show you something pretty cool. Do you guys ever watch Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not now,
Yes.
not now, sure, but I used to.
Yeah. I'm going
Kamehameha?
to show you what dumping looks like. Okay. Thing looks a lot like this. Pretend that Goku is like America and the other character is a country America wants to hurt by exporting too much. So.
Kamehameha.
Teacher. Sorry.
Bam! Look at all
I
that
was watching
chicken.
this.
Wow. Fantastic. So that's basically what dumping is. Dumping's not something that's fancy. It's just you get a lot of a product and you intentionally flood it into another country's market.
I
Okay?
think China is dumping the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, China doesn't necessarily dump per se. Remember, dumping can occur only if the government intentionally does it. If it's happening because of the natural market of supply and demand, it's not considered dumping. But China does do dumping, but every country does, usually in certain select products. For example, China likes to dump a lot of rubber and tires into the American market, and America does it too. We produce food much more efficiently than China, so we dump rice and poultry into China's market to hurt their farmers. Everybody does it a little bit. Yes, Yasin?
I have a question. Why do China doesn't has a spare of gold similar to other countries?
Why does China not what?
Doesn't have a spare of gold. Doesn't handle with gold similar to
why
other countries.
Why does China not have gold reserves?
Yeah.
I can explain, but I'll try. Eric, do you want to take that first, or do you want me to explain?
Well, actually, I don't know whether China has gold reserve or not.
It's okay. The correct answer is actually gold reserves, because most countries, I'm going to type this into the Verbling chat. In the past, it used to be that countries had what was called a gold standard. Gold standard. That meant the value of that country's money was based on gold. But now we have what's called floating currency. That means that the value of money is based on comparison, supply and demand. So money is only valued as much as people, as much as the market says it's worth. That's why, for example, the value of the dollar can go up or down. The value of the peso can go up or down. The value of the yen, well, the value of the yen keeps going up, which is not really good for your country, Asako, to be honest. You're like, oh God, it's true. But that's the reason.
It's sad. All of a sudden, it's getting weak. I was so surprised to see how much American dollars go up so high, so fast.
So, so guys, that's the reason China doesn't focus on a lot of gold reserves, because they don't need to. Their currency is a floating currency. Well, kind of. China does artificially lower the value of its currency, but I mean, for the most, it doesn't value its currency using gold. But in the past, countries did do that. Okay, does that make any sense? Does that make any sense, guys? Am I sounding too crazy? Am I sounding too out there and crazy? Matthew, you're being insane. Awesome. All right, guys, I swear it's about to.
I like to say.
Go ahead.
God made us, and the rest is made in China.
What did you say?
God made us, and the rest is made in China.
Oh,
No.
yeah! Ouch! Ouch!
No.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And guys, let's go back to how some negative ways you can use financial tools. You can do what's called a blockade. That's where you take your navy. This is actually a mixture of economic and military force. You use your navy or your army or your air force, and you cut all of the trade going into and out of a country. Can anybody give an example of a time when one country blockaded another country in history?
USA with Iraq.
USA with Iraq, or USA with Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Very good. All right. And I'll skip a couple of these. Then there's these three that we'll talk about here. Divestment. Guys, let's talk, before we explain what divestment is, what is investment? If I say I'm going to invest money, what does that mean?
That you will dispose
Growing money?
I'm going to put money into something. I'm going to invest in a business. That means I'm going to give a business money to help it succeed. Divest is the opposite. I'm taking money out of a country in order to punish it. Okay? This was used against South Africa because of the apartheid government. Actually, Tim, do you remember, I don't know, you studied this in school or history. Do you remember the 1980s when there was a large campaign to divest money from South Africa?
Yes, yeah. Talking about section, yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we spoke about that because I said about Japan. You give that example, you gave that example, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yep, that's definitely a common example. Then we have a term freezing assets. That's a fancy term for that you find the money that the leaders of a government have and you just take their personal money. It's pretty awesome. The United States repeatedly does this to dictators. For example, they'll find the secret offshore accounts or black market companies of North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il, and they'll take it. It's kind of interesting. And then this is related to the cyber war that this last one is related to the cyber war that Tim brought up earlier, kicking a country out of the world banking system. One reason that Iran is in a cyber war with the United States is because the United States made Iran the very first country where you don't have modern-day banking. They kicked Iran out of the international banking system, so it's not possible to transfer money electronically into Iran, at least legally. It hurt Iran very much because if you want to invest in Iran, you actually have to go get your paper dollars, fly to Iran, and give them physically the money. It really, really, really hurt the Iranian economy, and it's one reason why there's this cyber war going on right now, because it's as much a need for Iran to get foreign capital as it is to hurt the United States security-wise. Okay.
Yeah, but it's hurting Iran, but it's not only Iran. Yeah, it's hurting also other countries who trade in with Iran. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, but what are some of the weaknesses of using economic statecraft in a negative way? Well, you can, if you punish a country by cutting it off from trade, are you only hurting the government, or are you hurting the entire country, including its people?
The entire country.
The entire country, and maybe in the case of North Korea, yeah, North Korea's government is a dictatorship, but it allows what's called a rally around the flag effect. That means it's very easy for the leaders of that country to say, look at those evil capitalists, or so on and so forth. They're hurting us. So a lot of these things like tariffs, dumping, blockades, they're not very focused. They hurt the entire population rather than just a dictatorship or government. Okay? And then divestment. Well, that was effective against South Africa in the 1980s, but it's been less effective in the 21st century, like in the case of Sudan, because most investment is now electronic. You very rarely actually physically take money to other countries. Okay? So let's go ahead and pause here before I go into the positive ways you can use economic statecraft. I'm going to pull over so you guys can actually, I'm going to get off of screen share so you guys can actually see me. Let's see if they'll go. Yay! Hi guys, did you miss me? Be honest, you missed my face.
I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So guys, that was a lot to take in. What Yassine, did you just do what I think you did earlier? Was that a sound effect?
Yeah.
Oh god. Yassine, I'm going to ask you to contain yourself. Oh, Somebody should not have taught Yassine about the Hangout toolbox.
We should blame Brenda.
No.
You're the one who started it.
It was a cash sound.
No, it was.
Right, Brenda?
No, it wasn't my fault. I have to be honest. It wasn't my fault. I don't know how it started, but I'm just a victim. I am a victim here.
She's
That's
laughing.
all. Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
But okay. Please continue with the class, Matty, please.
No.
Continue, Matthew. We are talking about cash sound.
No problem. Okay. So, guys, we've learned all of the different ways that that one country can use another country. They can use economic power to hurt another country if they don't do what they want. Here's my question. This is the first topic of debate today. I'm going to open this up so everybody can talk, and everybody will talk. When do you think it's okay to use these punishing strategies? Is there ever a good time to use them, or is there never a good time to use them? What do you guys think?
I think when you use divestment and you use to punish some bad policies in a country, I think it's a good way to control maybe bad governments.
Maybe it's a good way to punish or hurt bad governments without using military force. Maybe.
Yes, I think that is like a more peaceful way to punish another country. I mean, a war is worse than economic power. So.
But also we need to keep in mind, guys. I need to be honest with you from an economic standpoint. These are a cheaper way to fight than a war, because a war is much more expensive than using trade policy. Trade policy is actually, even though it manipulates money, a trade policy itself is very cheap. It doesn't cost anything. But keep in mind, if these punishing tools, they can kill people. Well, think about it. How can a blockade or a trade embargo or ripping a country out of a banking system, how can these kill people? It doesn't seem like it would. These aren't guns. How can it kill somebody?
I think it's actually to kill somebody, For example, like North Korea, if America decided to use some economic statecraft to North America, North Korea, then the people in North Korea, they will, they maybe don't have the aid from the government. That's because the government don't have much food and money to give aid to his people.
I think that's a very, very a beautiful way to put it, guys. This is I think a really beautiful observation, because I mean, a lot of people are like, economics, it's boring. Why do countries even bother doing it? Yeah, it's cheap, but economic decisions, when you use them in a punishing way, I'm not saying, I mean, and I don't think anybody would, judge people like, it's absolutely wrong to do this, it's absolutely right to do this. But and maybe there are times when you got to do it. But
can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe it will affect or kill some people, but in comparison with military force, it's still cheap.
Yeah.
Still a few number of people.
You
Sure.
sure? I can think of probably many times economic statecraft has killed millions of people.
Yeah, but not like military.
Maybe.
And it's I think it's a new way.
Mhm.
It avoid the world many wars.
Mm. Mm. So we've heard multiple arguments that it's still very deadly because even though it may be cheap for a country to do, it can still really hurt another country's general population. And holy crap, is that you, Mahmoud? Mahmoud. Mahmoud. This is Yassine's little brother, but I guess he can't talk. Oh well. Oh, something's wrong. Maybe it's because you're in Sweden right now. Oh, okay. So, I think we've had a lot of really good, poignant decisions here. Does anybody else want to make a statement before we move on?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mahmoud. How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
How's
Hello,
Sweden?
everybody. No, I'm still in UAE.
Still in the UAE? Oh, okay. When you go to Sweden, I want you to take photos for me because I used to live there.
Sure.
Are you gonna go live in Stockholm?
Perhaps.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so we're talking about when countries use economic tools to hurt each other. It's a pretty cool topic. So we've been talking about ways that they can use these tools to hurt each other. Can anybody think of any other time?
Yes, can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay, there were a time when Colombia and Venezuela fought. Actually, presidents for both countries fought, and they they did an embargo.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who was affected was people from the frontera from the okay, from
the border.
the border, yeah, from the border, because
Yeah.
they work. For example, here in Colombia, Cucuta, they work with people from Venezuela, and for that embargo, they couldn't work, so they were affected. Their economic was so bad.
Yeah. I'm going to give a good personal example about here in Texas, because I was like, I want to learn about Texas. I'm going to give a good example about that. Brenda, I'm so sorry. That was a horrible impression of you. I apologize. I just realized that was terrible.
I don't like the way how you say my voice, but
I know, that's what I just said. I apologize. That was not a good impression.
no.
I'm sorry. Oh, don't say that, Motaz. All right. And another case of bad economic statecraft, it can cause war. For example, Asako, I really hope you're okay if I use this as a historical example, but one of the main reasons that Japan did eventually wage war on the United States was we cut off Japan's supply of oil because we opposed your country's invasion of China. That would be another case of economic statecraft. So there we go. So guys, yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on. Let's talk about all of the cases of good economic statecraft when you, instead of using a stick, you give a treat. Okay? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to slip back onto screen share, and let's all follow me back to the PowerPoint. Woo! Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. All the way, guys, to slide 16. Well, what are some positive economic statecraft examples? Well, there's a pretty obvious one. We said earlier, aid. This is the most commonly used financial tool. If you're nice to me, I'm going to give you something, right? This can come in the form of money, but it can also be non-money items, like food and medicine. Well, why would a country do this aside from, gee whiz, it's nice to help people? Well, in international politics, countries will do this, one, yes, to help, but also because it improves that country's reputation. And so it makes regular relations with the international community more easy because you're viewed as a responsible country and a good actor. The drawback? There's no strings attached, so it's hard to keep track of this aid, and often it can be misused. This is one reason why the United States, we give money, but also we give food and medicine, because it's harder to misuse them, or at least, well, actually they can be hardly misused, but it's harder. It's not as easy as with the money. Guys, I do hear a lot of background noise. Be sure to check your microphone. I can't mute you at the moment. Right? Then there is something called a free trade agreement. We've talked about this before in class. Can anybody tell me what a free trade agreement is?
Like
anybody?
Trade stuff without paying tax.
That's right. Trading between countries without any taxes. And believe it or not, this is an economic statecraft tool. It's not just a treaty, it's a political tool. I'm not meaning that in a bad way. The U.S. has a lot of free trade agreements in order to facilitate its usefulness. For example, we have, you said very well, a free trade agreement with Mexico. Here's a question. What do you think would happen to the economy of my home state of Texas if suddenly we got rid of our free trade agreement with Mexico and we had an embargo on Mexico? What do you think would happen?
First of all, what is embargo?
Remember, embargo means completely cutting off trade with that country.
It depends what people using. Mexican stuff, or you know what I mean?
Oh, I can. I already know the answer of what would happen. I mean, there's been a lot of academic work done.
Very, very expensive.
Actually, it would cause my home state's economy, Texas's economy, would collapse immediately because we're deeply. Because Texas is the center of trade between Mexico and the United States, and our economy is completely connected to Mexico's, and Mexico's is completely connected to ours. Yep, it's been that way since about 1994. Yep, we'll talk about that in a moment.
So that is why the state economic has growing and growing.
That's right. That's the reason my state's economy is really, really big, and it's growing faster than other countries' economies or states' economies. Okay? So let's talk about, and we're talking about earlier about, well, what does free trade also do? Well, it does something called linkage theory. At least some academics, some researchers think so. That because this free trade connects economies together, it allows for a freer flow of ideas into non-democratic countries. A good example being trade relations between South Korea and the United States eventually made it more difficult for South Korea's dictatorship, because South Korea used to have a dictatorship. They were unable to kill democratic reformers. So there are some examples of positive free trade agreements. Okay, so here's my question for the remainder of the class. We've learned that countries do use this tool, all right? That they use both positive and negative tools. Here's my question, and I'm going to bring up Colombia as an example. I'm glad we have two Colombians in class, because guess what? Colombia has a free trade agreement with the United States.
Yeah, in May it was official. In May last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was official back in late 2011, early 2012. Your president and my president finally passed it, and our Senate signed a treaty. So here's a question. These free trade agreements, in the case of Mexico and the United States, it's produced a lot of growth. But NAFTA, which is the free trade agreement between Mexico and America, and it's not just Mexico, America, it's Mexico, America, and Canada. All three of our countries' economies are actually connected like one country. Okay? Do you think that every state in America has benefited? Maybe the whole country has benefited, but do you think every single state in America has benefited?
Maybe.
No,
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there have been a couple that have not. Anybody want to guess?
California.
California is a good one, Mine. But I'm thinking Ohio and Detroit. Yeah, Ohio and Detroit.
Yeah, maybe the
Why?
border states.
Oh no, actually the border states benefited a lot. They've gotten rich.
Chicago.
So why
You,
Ohio and
Texas.
Detroit?
Ah, very good question. Because Ohio and Detroit were two of our, we would say, factory states. They were where our manufacturing industry was located at that time. And at that time, American manufacturing was not as competitive as Mexican manufacturing. So Ohio and Michigan lost a lot of jobs, even as Texas and Arizona and New Mexico gained jobs. So it benefited the country as a whole. As a whole, the United States, yes, benefited a lot from NAFTA. But there were places in America, because it's a big country, that did not benefit. Okay. And do you think everywhere in Mexico people benefited from NAFTA? Yes, Mexico got rich, but do you think there are some places in Mexico that suffered?
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely, of course.
Maybe the border part is richer than the other part.
That's right. The border states in Mexico, quite rich because they have a lot of factories and they can easily export goods. But what about the rural or countryside states in South Mexico? What do you think? Do you think that Mexican farmers would be able to compete with American farming companies?
I don't think so.
I don't think
so.
No.
The same thing in Colombia.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Actually, I did a big research paper on it, but to basically say it was actually the whole system was stacked against them. Mexican farmers were not even able to get bank loans or bank support to develop their farmland to compete, because the idea of NAFTA was that they would be able to actually compete on an equal field, right? But many of the people, they lived on what was called an ejido. That means like a community farming land. They could not compete, unfortunately. Only very recently has Mexico's farmers been able to compete on a more equal level. And just like in America, only recently have our factories been able to compete against Mexico. So it took about 15 to 20 years before NAFTA has now become kind of actually more fair. It took a long time.
Yeah, it's uncountable because it's a U.S. government give support in the U.S. farm industry, a big amount of funds. You can't compare with the Mexico.
That's right.
Mexico government doesn't do anything like a U.S. government. U.S. government is really generous.
And NAFTA restricted how much a U.S. government can give to our farms, but we still do. We still give some more. Yeah. So that's it's a difficult topic. Personally, as a Texan, I've seen how free trade, absolutely, it's benefited my state wonderfully. It's connected Texas to the world in a way that my state never was before. And I do think it's beautiful and it's a great thing in the long run. But that doesn't mean that in short term there aren't difficulties that you have to take care of, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Guys, I just want to say I was a little nervous bringing up economic. This is a very advanced topic, but you guys have really handled this maturely. I can't wait to see what you guys do in the military class. That's going to be cool. If I can, I'm going to slip over to our resident Argentinian. Brenda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now, in Argentina, I was going to say this. Argentina does not have a free trade agreement with most of South America. Do you think a free trade agreement with your neighbors, like Chile and Brazil, would be helpful for your country, or no? Or do you think not? In your opinion?
I don't know, Matthew. The thing is that Argentina is a difficult country in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Our government, okay, the way how they do the things. Okay, some people are against it, but it's like we cannot we cannot do anything right now. And even if we are agree or not, our president Christina,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not saying that she's not doing some things in a correct way, because she does, but there are a lot of people who are not happy about the way how I don't know. An example is how to get dollars. We have to do a lot of paperwork to find to buy it. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
My sister, for example, she have to travel to United States, but she have to she until she doesn't have the ticket, the plane ticket, she have to go and show that she had the plane ticket, and then they can sell it dollars.
Ooh,
Do you know that?
it's so bureaucratic.
Yes. So it's like some people are agree about the way how our government uh, doing the economy, but some people are really mad about it. So we
Mm.
have freedom, but just until a limit. We have a limit for that freedom economy.
Yeah, very good. I'm gonna move over to our East Asian friends, beginning with Eric and then to Asako, because I think that'll be a good way to balance it. Now, excuse me, Eric. Recently, thank you. Recently, as you know, America's manufacturing sector has grown a lot over the past 4 years, to a point that it's beginning to concern your country's government that our workers, even though they're much more expensive, they're also more efficient than the average untrained laborer in Western China. Do you think what do you think China can do to make sure that its manufacturing sector stays competitive?
Well, I think in China there's actually in China it need a big trans. I don't know, like need a change in
Mm-hmm.
this manufacturing industry. We need to uh, focus on this. We should change the label concerning ma manufacturing industry to the capital or technology concerning manufacturing
Mm.
industry. And also, in China there are so many people here, so we need to give them jobs.
Mm.
So I think we should move our label concerning manufacturing industry to the western part of China, which where is less developed,
That's
I
right.
think.
Yeah, that's definitely right, and it makes that's going to, of course, provide many difficulties for your country in the future. Hopefully, they can be approached. Motaz, what are you sneakily talking about in the Verbling chat?
When you was sharing the screen,
Mm-hmm.
Meka said hi, and I said to her that you can't see the Verbling chat.
Oh, that's true. Sorry, Mika.
Are you listening, Mika? That's true.
Oh my goodness. And let's go over to our friend in Japan. Asako, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I wanted to ask, now, Japan has had this problem since the early 1990s. It's basically been called the lost generation of growth, where your economy was growing so rapidly and then it stopped.
Yeah. Yes, stopped. We call it bubble. I don't know if it's Japanese English or not. Bubble is
The bubble.
yeah.
Yep.
Bubble. How can I say that? It's actually nothing in there. Just things like so. People get paid so high, but all of a sudden the economy is boom. Bubble is blown up or something.
Burst or bust.
Burst. And all of a sudden, economy went down. And I was actually, at the time, I was a university student. And it was hard to get a job at the time. And now, I think because of the Japan's yen was so high, actually, in comparison to US dollar was, and also against euro. So my company was a lot of actually is a automotive related company. That is why a lot of in manufacture, because the yen was so high, no one wants to buy the stuff from Japan. So we are shifting the manufacture to other countries like US or China, and because our company is making adhesive for automotive, so we are also have to shift the production line to US and China or other countries. But now all of a sudden the yen is getting weak. So
that actually in many ways, if frankly, would be healthy for your country, because it would attract foreign investment and the price of your exports would be cheaper.
Yeah. But
I know, but it's not good for the individual, but it would be good for your economy as a whole, frankly.
Yes, to be balanced, yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yes, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's I don't believe any aspect of economic statecraft in the positive aspects. I don't think. I mean, because I think it's a basic question, because democracy and economy really opposite stuff. We have to ask: do you think democracy manage well the economy? I think not. I think it's a basic problem and it's a basic question.
It's definitely a point to consider, that sometimes that what may be economically valid may not be necessarily in the best interest of democratic programs or democratic states.
I don't think so, because democracy always lose against the economy.
Okay, so hold on before we continue. Mine was also going to say something. Mine?
I agree with him. I think it is not necessary an economy and democracy at the same pathway, because I know, for example, in my country, we are getting less Democrats, but our economy growing very fast.
That's right. And Mina, remind me, you've been in my class before. Which country are you
I am from Turkey.
That's right, that's right. And I mean, that's another thing we need to bring up here. Economic statecraft, guys, these are tools used by what countries? Not just democracies, but any country. It's not necessarily something that's useful for democracies or not useful for democracies. They're just tools that states can use. So I think what Tim brings up is true. He's like, these are all interesting tools, but they don't necessarily work in the favor of democracy. It just depends how you use them, and when to use them, and when it's appropriate and when it's not. Guys, we're got to close out now, but I really want to give a lot of credit. I liked, first off, we had a very diverse class. We had a very diverse class geographically and also in opinions. Our next class, I'm going to start right now in just a couple of minutes. We've talked about economic statecraft. Now I think it's fair to talk about, I guess, the exciting stuff. In just about a minute, we're going to start military statecraft, with a focus, of course, on my own country's policy, my own country, not whether our wars are correct or not, but at least how our military structure is designed. And we'll go and talk about how countries can use different when there's no other option. different war footings. So I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ninja.
Bye.
See you.
Bye, Matthew.